Everybody, calm down. All is good. I found Frank because this is the IssuesWatch podcast. Hello, and welcome to the IssuesWatch podcast. I'm Brad Muniz, your host for the bi-weekly accounting and auditing episodes. I'm the partner in charge of accounting and auditing at Sobelco, and back with me today is Frank Boutillette, the emeritus partner at Witham, and my co-presenter for many A&A presentations and the Society's Law and Ethics webinar. Welcome back, Frank.
Glad to be here. I'm glad you found.
I don't love having you here. They love having you here.
Okay. Well,
yes. So this episode qualifies for Nano CPE credit. If you're interested in earning CPE credit for this episode, hit the pause button now and head over to njcpa.org/nano to find out how. A quick disclaimer, the views and statements expressed herein are our own and not necessarily of the NJCPA, Sobelco, or Witham. FASB update, nothing big. I was in the A&A interest group meeting this morning, and they were even saying that everybody's pretty much on vacation, keeping it light now, but there was a FASB update. They put out the investor outreach report, or request for comment for the investor outreach report. This is where the FASB goes out to investors, and they ask them to please give comment as to what's important for you within the financials. And it's good because they get a lot of the feedback, and then that's how they determine their agenda. In 2021, the report determined the top priorities for them to focus on, and these are just the top priorities. There were a lot more, but digital assets, which is surprising because they really haven't come out with anything yet with it.
Soon.
ESG. ESG, over and over. And that was the second listed one. Disaggregation of information, which I'm finding very interesting because they seem to be talking about this disaggregation a lot. You know how we put this SG&A. I think they're going to want to start breaking things up a little bit more. Intangible assets, software, government grants. At the interest group meeting this morning, I think it was Ken Heaslip had a big discussion on government grants, consolidations, and the codification accessibility. The codification came out in 2009. And I'm surprised now, 13 years later, they're saying, okay, we really got to talk about the accessibility of it, because I know it's free, just a basic level, then you could pay for a little bit more, and then if you're an educator, you get it for cheaper. But I guess the people are feeling, hey, if you're going to require us to do this, you have to make it more accessible. And have, the search feature is not available on the free session. So I only have the free because I have other research stuff like you've had it at Witham. I think they shut you off because you're emeritus now. That's what emeritus means, get out.
You get nothing.
You get nothing. You leave.
Nothing.
Good day, sir. Okay, AICPA, the PEAK, the Professional Ethics Executive Committee, issued a Q&A on Section 705, unpaid fees. Now, if you remember, go back previous episodes, I talked about this when it came out. There used to be that bright line where if fees weren't paid from the prior year, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go deep into it. Were they attest fees? Were they tax fees? Just in general, they had a bright line if the fees weren't paid from the prior year. They kind of took that bright line out now, and now it's become more subjective and more principles-based rather than rules-based. You should look up this Q&A, just search for it online, familiarize yourself with it. Don't think that this is a win for you, that now you're going to have fees outstanding for multiple years. I thought that originally. Go ahead.
Did you read the Q&A?
Yes.
They actually went into the engagement partner. They're looking at fees if they are significant to the firm, but are they significant to the partner? Meaning, if that partner has compensation based on revenues and collections, and he decides to do an audit that they didn't collect the fees on, he still gets credit, so his compensation could be rewarded. Right. So now they're looking at compensation to partners. So they're looking at engagement partners. Is significant to the engagement partner's compensation? I thought that was pretty interesting.
I thought it was very interesting.
All the way down.
When it came out, I'm like, bright line's gone. That's not what they're looking at. They're saying maybe even shorter than a year is more important.
Yes.
And is it, as Frank said, is it significant to the partner? Look up this Q&A. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. All right, on to the PCAOB.
Okay, so the PCAOB, access to Chinese audit work papers. That's big on the PCAOB chairperson Eric Williams' agenda. They're still having talks with China as they've ongoing for the past several years. The issue there with China is that All CPA firms in the United States, PCAOB goes to inspect those public company audits. In China, China will not allow the work papers to be looked at by anybody outside of the country. They have been working on this. They're getting closer to coming to an agreement, but the U.S. regulators want to have no restrictions on anything they look at. They want to be able to look at it, whatever they want to look at. China says, well, we think this is a national security issue, so we don't know if we want you to look at all of our work papers. I think that's kind of fun.
And national security and audit work papers.
Right now, there's 273 companies that are listed on the U.S. stock exchanges that could be delisted. And I think as early as the beginning of January, they're looking at that. So that's going to be a big one coming up for Chinese companies that are in China that are listed in the U.S. The next area we go, SEC, we're keeping in touch with the public company world. Cryptocurrency. SEC Commissioner Chair Gary Gensler is pushing to get crypto trading platforms to register with the SEC. There's a lot of crypto securities that have their own exchanges. He feels, and I quote, "There is no reason to treat the crypto market differently just because it is a different technology." So what he's saying to his folks is, hey, technology's changing, we have to adapt. So I thought that was a good thing. So they're looking at these digital assets and these coins to try to get them to be securities and looked at as same as a regular security would be. ESG. Brad, you like ESG. Right?
ESG. What would a session be without us talking about ESG?
Every time.
Are you tired about it yet? I'm not. Here, please, Frank, tell me more.
So there's been pushback now. The SEC is trying to get disclosures in financial statements about climate change and how it affects the company. So there's been a big pushback, and basically the article I was reading was there's 24 Republican states and are basically saying, hey, we don't think that the SEC has the authority to put in those type of disclosures. They also feel it violates the First Amendment. I think that was a little, I'm not sure how that violates the First Amendment.
Violates the First Amendment.
Yeah, and they went into some other reasons why. But again, the point of this is that climate change is an issue that we're dealing with. A lot of pension plans, they all want to understand how the companies are dealing with climate change. Is it going to affect the financial statements of the future? So they want to have some information there. The SEC wants to put this out. Apparently, there's a lot of pushback on whether the SEC has the right to allow that. In keeping with that, the Supreme Court had a decision in June that the EPA was trying to regulate greenhouse emissions of power plants. So again, the Supreme Court said, you know what, the EPA does not have the right to regulate that. So that then rolls into, does the SEC have the right to regulate the disclosure for ESG? So a lot of interesting things happening there. Now, the one thing I did find, Brad, that was interesting that I just saw in my note here was that they've determined the disclosures, all right, to come up with the disclosure for this climate change could cost companies and auditors $18.4 billion so they can disclose that.
They're evil. $18.4 billion. Are you serious?
I'm serious. That's what the article said. So they've done a study and they believe it's going to cost that much money just to get those disclosures into the financial statements. More to come.
So that's a big. I hadn't seen that. That's an enormous number.
It is outrageous.
All right. So the last topic, data breaches and cybersecurity. IBM performed a study and reports that nearly half of all organizations have minimal or no cloud security practices in place. To further compound the issue, the average cost of a breach globally is $4.3 million. In the U.S., it's $9.4 million, more than double what the global impact is. So the reason why I brought this up isn't because we want to start thinking about what IBM is doing. How does this impact our audits? Right. Now, as you're part of your planning, you have to consider the IT environment. You should be talking with your client about their cybersecurity matters. And also, if you're reporting to governance, now I know on our employee benefit plans and a lot of our other audits, I'm QCing employee benefit plans right now, but on a lot of the plans and other audits, we actually put in there as a comment to report to governance if we find if they don't have cybersecurity. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of that disclosure, yeah.
So if you're in a company, you should really be considering your cybersecurity and those matters. If you're an auditor, you should be talking with the companies about this topic. And if you find that they don't have it, you should be bringing it to those with governance to their attention. So, in closing, I'd like to remind you about some upcoming NJCPA events. For those that are itching to get back to in-person CPE, go to CVS or Walgreens and get something for that itch. The NJCPS chapters have you covered. The Bergen chapter is hosting a 4-hour ANA update on September 22nd. The Essex chapter is hosting a 4-hour ANA and cybersecurity update on September 23rd. The Union County chapter is holding a 4-hour event on October 18th on comps and reviews and financial risk management. The Middlesex Somerset chapter is holding a 4-hour ANA update on October 18th, and the Southwest chapter is holding a 4-hour ANA update on October 27th. So there's a lot to choose from. None of these are hybrid, they're all live. Please visit one of your chapters. Register for these events and more at njcpa.org/events, and be sure to join the NJCPA Accounting and Auditing Standards Interest Group. Sign up for free at njcpa.org/groups. Frank, thank you for coming, and don't sneak away on me like that.
Try not to. I'll try to make sure I'm here.
Scared me.
Sorry.
And thank you for watching or listening.